Hi there, welcome to World Talk. I am Lisa Wickham, President and CEO of Imagine Media. I'm also a director and producer, and because I've worked all over the world, I have friends who have been so inspiring to me, and I want to share them with you, which is the essence of this series, World Talk. So today, I go across to India to speak with Paakhi, who is a writer, author, humanitarian, film director. She's produced a production with Priyanka Chopra, who I know has a huge fan club on this side. So we want to find out more about that. And I trust that when we talk about the challenges that she's been through, that somewhere out there, someone will be touched and as inspired as I am by Paakhi. Remember, you can catch up on some episodes that you might have missed by logging on to my YouTube channel, Lisa Wickham, and just subscribe and you'll get to catch up. And maybe you want to watch this one over and over and over again. It's all good. You just subscribe and you'll get all the videos there. And if you like this series and you would like it to continue, remember to log on to www.fundmetnt.com and donate whatever you can so that we can keep this series, this very inspiring series, going. I want to say thank you to our sponsor this week, Digicel, for powering us up and keeping us going. All right, we're going to take in a few messages. Remember to share so that we can get some more people inside. Get ready with your pens and questions to put your questions in the live, and we'll be back after this with Paakhi. Claudia Davis Designs. All right, we're back. This is World Talk, and I'm going across the seas to join my friend who is live from Mumbai, India. Good. Hello, Paakhi.
Hi, finally I can hear you.
There you are. Okay, I need you to just shift your camera a little bit so we can see your entire face. The other direction, the other direction. There you are.
Got it.
There you are. How you doing?
I'm doing good, very good.
Yeah. Thank you for staying up because I know it's very late where you are now, probably like 10:30. Yeah.
It's not that late,
Yeah.
but yes, slightly late.
Slightly late. How have you been doing? I know COVID-19 had everyone indoors for a
Uh,
bit. Yeah. How did it
for a
affect
bit.
you?
All right, let's start with that. It was not for a bit, it was for 3 months. And it was fairly difficult, but luckily I get along with my husband. So that was nice. I
Yeah.
have lovely 2 cats and I have awesome friends who we have been on group,
Yeah.
and we constantly motivated each other, pushed each other to write and keep our spirits up. And then also we did a lot of meditation
Yeah.
because I'm part of in India we have a very strong master disciple relationship. So we
Yeah.
all have a guru,
Mm-hmm.
and who made it a lot easy for us because he somehow disciplined our life with twice a day we were meditating, like with millions of people all over the world. So
Ah.
I don't think it was that bad. It was kind of
Yeah. But
nice.
you know what I heard you say? You said that you did a bit of writing.
A
So
lot of
a
writing.
lot of writing.
Hmm.
Films, production,
Yeah.
stories, what sort of writing?
So I wrote a film that I've been wanting to write for the longest time. It's fantasy.
Yeah.
In India, fantasy is just catching up. Superheroes have happened, but fantasy haven't happened. So I'm writing that, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing multiple series for digital platform.
Oh,
That's
nice. Nice.
Netflix, Amazon. We have Hotstar, lot of platforms we have in India. So
Oh.
I've been churning out, and I have a good team. I have a very good team who helps me out.
That is so wonderful that you're able to use this time to be productive. So many people went through their businesses closing or,
Oh my God.
not having the opportunity to work. So it's wonderful that you're able to do this. But let's dial back a little bit and go back to 2.5 years old, I believe, when you first started in the industry. You beat me to it because I started at the age of 6.
Ah!
And you
So
started age.
yeah, I was really young, and that usually happens because either one of your parent is in the industry, right? And
Yeah.
my mom was in theater. She was like a hardcore theater person, and I was used like a prop. So every time they needed a child, it would be me or my brother,
Yeah.
depending upon our gender. And I did a couple of films as a boy.
As a boy.
So
Why as a
as a boy,
boy?
I have no idea. They would cut my hair short, and I did 2 films like a boy. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And then
So,
you went on from child star to do what? What came next? Acting, modeling?
okay, so I was not a child star because I was not in Bombay. I was child
Okay.
actor,
Okay.
and that reality.
Yeah.
After that, I wanted to get into filmmaking. My mom always felt I was a good writer, but somehow modeling came easy. Wherever I would apply for a job, people would say, "Why don't you model?" And for my age, it was big money, and I could contribute to my mom. My mom is
Yeah.
a single mother,
Yeah.
and my father died very early on, and she brought
Uh,
us up alone. So I wanted to contribute,
how
and
many of you were there? How many siblings?
one brother,
Okay, so it's
and
two of you.
yeah, so he's a producer,
Yes. Yeah,
and
he's also in the industry. Yeah.
yeah, he does work in the TV industry.
Yeah. So
And
so you wanted to contribute to help your mom. About what age were you at that time?
I think I was 15, 16.
15 years. What was it like being a model? You hear of this industry. What were some of the challenges you faced as a young girl in India, especially as a model at that time?
Um, modeling industry, I did not have a problem, but I was in a very conservative school, in the sense when I say conservative, I would say that they pushed traditional education, and they constantly beat you up if you were not an intellectual. So that was a problem with me. For me to do both, it required a lot of like brute force from my end, because they would tell my mom, you are making your child do child slavery. So it was difficult for me to tell them that my mother is letting me be independent. She's not forcing me to do anything. So that was a tough part. For people saw me as not intelligent, uh, because you know modeling, acting, it is always seen shallow by people.
I am smiling because I went through the same thing.
Exact same thing, is it?
Yes, yes, because entertainment is seen as fickle and not for the persons with a
Shallow.
little,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, totally.
But the whole industry has changed now. We'll come to that. But you were also dyslexic, or you are dyslexic. How did that impact your career now in terms of your schoolwork, your career as a
It
director,
was
and so on?
very difficult because when I was in school, we did not know that there was something called dyslexia. So I was just labeled stupid, dumb. I got beaten up by teachers a lot because I couldn't do my homework.
Physically,
Yeah, yeah. We have, in my time, now it's like there's no corporal punishment in India. But when I was young, teachers could just hit you, and hit you hard. They would hit you with a scale, they would slap you. Things have changed, and it doesn't happen anymore. It
yeah,
used to happen. So
yeah,
no, don't worry about that.
yeah.
But it took a long. I had a very strong family support, who kept reminding me, "You're not uh, dumb. You're very intelligent. Your intelligence is different."
Yes.
Even though my mom didn't know I was dyslexic, she kept trying to explain it to me that I am special in my own way. So that really helped. And then she started teaching me orally everything.
Ah,
So that really helped. And I hated school.
yeah,
But I had some great friends. I
yeah,
made some great friends.
yeah,
Uh, but it took me a long time to get over the fact that I'm not dumb.
yeah. And how did you find out that you were dyslexic?
It was after much later. one of the ministers in India, his son was dyslexic. And then a lot of studies were done on it. And then I took tests, and then they realized you're dyslexic. So it was, in retrospect, I felt slightly understood. I understood myself that I was not stupid. It was just that I could not read and write because my brain was different.
Yes.
But interestingly, I topped my college and university because that's where spellings don't matter.
Right. Yes.
So I topped that. So that was a good part.
I mean, it really does not matter once you can diagnose, and diagnosis is so important, you know.
Yeah.
So many children are labeled as stupid or difficult when it's a legitimate reason why there's something that is happening with them in the classroom. Yeah, and there are people on the chat who are actually saying, I knew there was something that resonated with me about her. I myself suffer from dyslexia. Wow, I can relate. And that's from Shimon Lazama. So there
Oh,
you go. Yeah. Yeah. So, Paakhi, so let's talk a bit about now your career as an actor.
okay.
Yeah, and we're going to do a bit of messages, come back. We're going to talk about your career as an actor. We're going to talk about your career as a director and the films that you've won. You're an award-winning director as well. So much to talk about. So please share, share, share. Stay with us. We'll be back after this. Claudia Davis Designs. So we are back, and my head is down because the comments are coming in. We're chatting with Paakhi live from India. Remember, you can catch us on YouTube if you missed it, Lisa Wickham, and you can also log on to Fund Me TNT if you really like what you're hearing in these series and contribute what you can, so we can keep the series going, guy. So Paakhi, yeah, I have some questions for you, but before I jump into the questions, let's talk about you getting into acting. So you said that you were not a child star because you weren't in Bollywood, but you did appear in a couple of films, right? Tell
Yeah.
us about that.
So I did one international film. It was an Indo-German project, which
Yeah.
I really enjoyed. It was directed by Rajan Khosa. Again, won lot of awards, but
Yes.
I was not the main lead in it.
Yes.
And then I did this teenage flick
Yeah.
called Ye Kya Ho Raha Hai, which was a sex comedy. And that put an end to my career for a bit because I just kept getting more roles for the same kind of work, right?
Yeah.
And like I told you, I was part of an organization called Art of Living, where we took our work very seriously,
Yes.
our teachings very seriously, and I was sent to Northeast. So there was a whole lot of people whose life I wanted to change, and I really didn't want them to see me as a sex object, you know?
Yeah.
So
Although I must say you are beautiful. You're stunning as a model, as an actor. 10 points.
I think it's just being nice.
So you
So
worked.
and then I started writing. Actually met my husband because I came back from the northeast of India to start my direction work.
Yes.
And I met my husband because I was his director's assistant, DA. And that's when I met him, and I learned a lot from him. I learned actual professional writing from him. And that's when I started my career as writing, as a filmmaker. Then I wrote a film for him, and they decided to cast me. Actually, I put a gun to his head and I said, I want to be cast in the film. So, so I worked in that film. It was with a big star. It was called Jhoota Hi Sahi. But
Yes.
now you have to, now this is the truth of it. I love the film, but it bombed badly.
Why do you
It
think
bombed.
it bombed?
Uh, Maybe it was not typical Bollywood film. Maybe the story was too progressive, or maybe just people didn't connect to it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people say that our marketing was bad and there was not enough sample people for word of mouth to go.
Mm-hmm.
But what I know was that I was kind of bullied by the critics for being married and working. This is about 10 years back. And at that time, a husband launching their wife was seen as more of a of women fancy. Now we have a lot of actresses who are married, but at
Yes.
that time there were not too many.
Yeah. You
And
know, I wanted to ask you what it was like being a female director in Bollywood in India, where, you know, from the outside, you always tend to think that the woman's role in India is not as to the forefront as it should be as the men. So what was your experience like as a female director?
okay, as an actor, it was very different because I worked only and only with good directors, right? They
Yeah.
were all very feminist in they're feminist, all
Yeah.
three men I worked with. As a director, I had a major problem. People wouldn't take me seriously initially. It took a woman producer to have faith in me. Also, because my film was a children's film, they were not very keen to produce it. In India, we have a tendency to not experiment. We want safe bets. We only work with stars, and stars don't want to work with new directors. And I come from nowhere, right? I don't have a very background.
Yeah.
So it is very difficult.
So
And I
what
don't have friends either.
So what did you do to break through? Because the film became a success. This is the film that you did with
Yes,
Priyanka as well, right?
yes,
Priyanka
yes,
Chopra.
yes.
You're going to tell me how that happened, but what allowed you to persevere and to break through?
Okay. Do have some free. All three of them gave me one advice. They said there are thousands of film made every year. Your film has to cut. Felt my film Pauna was that it was so relevant. It is about refugees. It's about people who leave their country. Like they come, they're someone. They have name, and then they suddenly come from another country, and you become outsiders. There's a scene in my film where this girl tries to pay with her currency, and this woman turns around and says, "This is not Indian currency," and she's like, "But money is money." She's a understand. I says, "No, your money is no good here."
Yes. Yeah.
So imagine you have earned all, and if you see that happens to adults too. They've built a name, they have education, they have money, and just like that, they have to run, they have to flee, and they have nothing.
Yeah.
So it was a very important topic, but it was made like a fable, a fairy tale. So a lot of people were willing to listen. I was not attacking people and saying, see, this is your fault. You're not taking care of people. I wanted to tell them in a nice fairy tale way. And a lot of people understood and heard. And that's why I think the film did so well.
Yeah. And how
So
did you manage to work with Priyanka Chopra?
Priyanka, see, I already see I was very smart. By the time I went to Priyanka, I had already got a
Yeah. Yes.
I had gone to a state of Sikkim and I told them I will make your state look gorgeous, but you give me half the funding. So when I went to Priyanka, it cost her very little to have a good film that she got. So she said it was a very smart business plan. And
Yes.
she saw it in me that I could make a good film.
Mm-hmm.
But the woman I would like to give credit to is her mother. Yeah. Her mother is a very dynamic woman. And I remember telling her, my film, I know I'm a woman director. I know it's about kids, but it's good. And she says, you know what? For those reasons, I'm going to hire you.
Ah, nice.
So she is the one who's actually a force behind Priyanka too.
Okay, we're going to continue check in, if it's okay with you, with some of the comments on Facebook that's coming in, and if we can get some of the Instagram comments as well. And Vonette says, "Oh Lord, she nice too bad." That's in Trinidad and Tobago language. That says she's agreeing. She's agreeing with me that you're beautiful.
Okay.
And then I saw a question. Yes, Snigga by Han, I believe, says,
Snigdha?
yes, Snigha
Ah,
by Han says,
Snigdha.
if
Yeah, that's
given
an
a
Indian name.
choice, if given a choice, what would you choose? Acting, writing, or being a director?
Oh, director, any day. I used to sweat and I would be acting. I was constantly conscious about my looks. I was constantly dependent on people telling me how I am. But as a director, I come alive.
Yeah.
I tell my stories and I love that. So director all
Yes.
the way,
Yeah.
any day.
I want us to talk about this whole concept of beauty, because people would look at you, look at your photographs and say, wow, she's stunning, she's amazing. But yet you are self conscious about how you looked. Where
Yes.
did that come from?
Do you want to talk about it now? Or you want to take a break?
Does that mean you're not going to answer me?
No, okay. All right. I told you my film, the reviews were brutal. They were brutal. This was 6 years back, and they called me old. And they said I was fat and I was ugly, I was haggard. Anything that they could tell me about my looks, they did. This is the critics. I'm not even talking about the audience. Audience was very kind to me, very nice to me. But the critics were brutal, and I think that affected me so badly. I went into deep depression for 2 years, and it was my friends and my husband and my family that got me out of it. I thought I was just nothing
Yeah.
because so much of my self-esteem was tied up with my looks. Everywhere I went from, since I was a kid, I was told, oh, she's gorgeous, right? And then suddenly that to be taken away from you. Hard. But the good part is that now it doesn't matter how I look. I am still me at 36, 37, when I'm 40, when I'm 50, I'll still be me. The wrinkles won't matter because I've already discovered me, because they helped me detach from my looks.
How did you do that? How did you detach from the depression and from the ego that attaches itself to the looks? What did you do? Did you do anything differently?
Yes. One, I meditated a lot. Two, I started going out and helping others with the same problem, right? The more I helped others, the more I felt better. What you teach, you start practicing, you know? And it took a long time. It was not like overnight. It was a process. I used to tell myself, for one day, I will not look into the mirror. One day, just one day.
Yeah.
Then I would say 2 days, I will not look into mirror. And the less I looked in the mirror, the less I judged myself, the more I saw myself for what I was. It was a long process and a lot of meditation with Art of Living. And my master played a great role.
Tell me about the art of living. We can talk, Paakhi, we can talk for hours, right? we just have a little bit of time. But tell me about your work with the art of living. That's your humanitarian side.
Oh my God, they have given me such a big platform to do good. See, all of us have a desire to do good. And either when I joined Art of Living, a lot of people told me, you will lose your identity. You'll be just another brick in the wall. And I thought about it, and then I realized, no, I will be the wall. When a brick is also a wall.
Yes.
So they gave me a lot more reach, lot many people that I could reach out to. I started my work with addicts, young addicts, and
Yes.
we did very well with them. Then youngsters, who are looking for a path. Then I worked with older people and people who are lost, people who are sick, and we have bigger programs like education. It's a whole world out there in Art of Living, and you can pick and choose to do and help make the world a better place.
Yeah.
Like, for example, currently we are making a place. It's a very simple thing, but we are taking care of all the dogs that surround the ashram.
Yes.
It's a
Yeah.
simple thing. Nobody thinks of it. All spiritual organizations are invested in human beings. But here is my master, Sri Sri Ravi Shankar, who says even dogs are good. Dogs need to be taken care of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So
so, go on.
so it can be tiny little thing, or it can be world altering event like rejuvenating a river.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you can be part of anything you want.
Just make that step. And I
Yeah.
was saying earlier today to a friend that, it really is much easier to be kind. It's so easy to be kind. And just a bit of an act of kindness can go so far to help transform the lives of someone else. But Paakhi, you are tremendous. You're amazing. What's next for you?
I want to add something right now, what you just said.
Yeah.
I think kindness is the most selfish act in the world,
Why do you say that?
because the minute you are kind, you feel good. You expand spiritually,
Yeah.
mentally, you smile, and the purpose of life is happiness.
Yes.
So the more kind you are to others, the more happy you are.
So so is it a good selfish, you mean? Is it a good?
Absolutely.
Okay. You got me worried there. You got me a little bit worried there just now.
So when I say if you don't want to be kind to others for others, be
Yeah,
kind to others for yourself.
absolutely. Because the sun doesn't shine on you alone. It shines on everyone, right?
Exactly.
There you go. What's next for you, Packy?
I'm writing, like I said, I've been writing as soon as our industry opens. I have a film called Avi versus Avi, which
Yeah.
is two dysfunctional people who fall in love with each other, and it is 4 days in their life. So that film was going to start just before the lockdown. So now we are waiting for the lockdown to be over,
Uh-huh.
which should be in another month or so. And then we have more things happening, like we have series and writing away.
Oh, I can't wait. I know you're going to be back on with me on World Talk a little later on because there's always stuff to
Absolutely.
talk about with you, right, Packy? But I want to thank you for joining us. We're out of time already. Can you believe it? I think
Oh
we
my
even
God.
went for more than half an hour. You want to stay? We can't stay.
Next time.
Next time. And I want to thank all the persons who have been online. There are a number of persons sending their greetings to you. I know you're going to go and check it out a little later on, but, so many people who are identifying with your story. So I want to thank you for sharing so honestly and intermittently with us. Intimately with
Thank you
us,
for
yeah.
having me, and love to your audience. And you're doing a great work.
Thank you. Thank you,
Lisa, you're
Packy.
amazing.
Oh, we love each other. Mwah, mwah, I'm blowing you kisses. We're just sort of loving on each other right now. All right, I'm going to let you go, Packy, and thank you. Oh, before you go, I'm sure somebody's out there asking, why just Packy? Because you go by one name, like Madonna, like Rihanna.
Oh no, I don't. I go with my Paakhi Tairwala actually. I do have a full name.
I know you have a full name, but I know I know you have a full name, but for your professional career, you go by as
Career.
Packy, right?
Actually, it's been changing over the years. Initially, it was just Paakhi, then it was Paakhi A Tairwala, it's Paakhi Tairwala. Whoever wants whatever they write.
You just
So
answer.
I just can't.
All right. Thank you so much, Packy. And get some rest and be safe across in India
Yeah.
as we navigate through COVID-19 and the whole world, really. But it's
Yeah.
wonderful chatting with you. All
Ditto.
right.
And next time, I would love to talk about bigger issues like we were talking about America, China, India, things like that.
Okay, well,
That would be
we
nice.
said we were going to talk about it. So if you
Yeah,
guys, we do an extra, yeah, we can do it now. Let's do it right
we can.
now. Yeah, because we're live, right? And I'm sure the viewers would love to hear your views. I was asking you yesterday when we were chatting, what were your thoughts on what's happening in the US and if in fact there was some form of reaction in India to what's going on in the US with the Black Lives Matter
See, we were
situation.
all horrified. We can't identify with it because we have a very small black population in Delhi, very, very small, concentrated, and in Gujarat, right? Nigerian and very. So we don't have that much identification, but the incident itself was horrific. See, it can be race, it can be caste. We have a caste problem in India, right? We have communal problem in India. So it can be anything, but it will manifest in the same way. People who think they are in power will always oppress the people who they think can be oppressed. But
Yes.
I feel it comes from deep insecurity. And um, it's it's almost like you want your ideology, your way of thinking to be supreme, and anyone who disagrees with it will be snuffed.
Yeah.
And we've seen that happen in religion, in political ideology. We have seen it in feminism. You know, the minute we assert ourselves, which is different from the whole patriarchal system, the voice will be snuffed. And it comes from a deep insecurity and being threatened. So, till these people, these aggressors, these bullies do not become secure in their own body and in their own system, nothing will change.
But
And I
some,
think,
but you know,
yeah,
I absolutely agree with you. But sometimes it's tied to an economic agenda in terms of maintaining the difference in terms of equity with regard to wealth. Yeah. So
yeah,
even so, yes, I agree with the aspect of bullying through insecurity, but I also think that with regard to distribution of wealth, we have to look at that and where the wealth is and where the wealth is meant to be kept in terms of the 1% of the world's economy being in the hands of, the 90% of the economy in the hands of 1% of the world,
exactly. Yeah, yeah,
So,
makes sense. Yeah,
yeah.
that makes
So,
sense completely. Yeah.
and but in India, you mentioned the caste system. Are you seeing much change happening over the past few years?
You know, unfortunately, we had managed to abolish it completely. And in last 7 to 8 years, 6 years, we have seen the ugly rise of it again. And again, caste system is very economic, like how you just said. It's very economic based because it's profession, it is money, it's a hierarchy, and it's coming back again, and it's terrifying.
Yeah.
And if you don't follow that social structure, people are being lynched, people are being hurt, people are being cornered, and it's heartbreaking. But you see, it is happening in every part of the world.
Yeah, I was just about to
Oh,
say, I think it's so
yeah,
important what's happening in the US because it's driving the conversation and the activity and the activism around the world in
yeah,
areas where persons feel disenfranchised. They now feel empowered, to be able to step out and say, enough is enough. We need to change the legislation. We need to change the way things are operating. We need to change completely. And we haven't seen this momentum since the 60s with the civil
in
rights
America.
movement.
In
Yeah.
India, we had a similar movement just before COVID set in. It
Yeah.
was a lot of it was against the discrimination of against Muslims by Hindus, and a lot of Hindus came out on the street to support Muslims. A lot of students came out and supported the Muslims and said, no, they will not be treated like outsiders. But then COVID happened and there was a break. But I think people are now expressing, you know, what is wrong is wrong.
Yeah.
And just few years back, we saw a right regime, a sense of, fascist, rightish, uh, conservative regimes coming all over, you know. And now this is happening, which is for good, I feel. We
Yeah.
need to be heard and we need to be very vocal and not be scared.
Yeah.
And I say that to Indians again and again, don't be scared. Every voice matters. You know, say it loud, say it clearly. We want peace. We want love.
Yeah. Paakhi, we really have to go, but I think that's a great way to end. We want peace, we want love, we want change. We
We
really
want
want
change.
change for the better. Yeah.
Yeah.
So wonderful chatting with you, Paakhi. But I'm going to leave you right now.
Goodbye, Lisa.
Bye-bye and take care now. We'll chat again. I know we will. You're going to be on this
Yes.
show many times. We're going to be talking again. That was Paakhi live from Mumbai in India. And such a wonderful, wonderful person. I thank you all for joining me in another episode of World Talk. Remember, if you enjoyed this series and you want it to continue, you can log on to www.fundmetnt.com and you can contribute whatever you can so that we can keep the series going. I want to thank Digicel, who is helping us to power this up, and subscribe to YouTube, Lisa Wickham, if you want to see any of the episodes that you might have missed. And you can also share. All right, guys, because we want to get the message out. Because remember, one word can inspire change in a life. And if we've touched you in any way, help us to get the word out. All right, I'm going to leave you, as we usually do, with our spotlight video, with a video from my country, Trinidad and Tobago. And this is by the sensational, look out for her, Nyla Blackman. It's called More Soca. Bye.